Guys, I want to ask y'all a question. What is the number one thing that you need in order to be successful? Me and my friend talked about this a couple of days ago, and I asked him this, and he told me that he didn't know the answer to it because it was a really deep question. But I told my friend that if there was one thing that I absolutely needed in order to be successful, you have to start by believing in yourself. Because most times when you are working on something, a lot of people aren't going to help you on whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish because there have been people that have done whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish at the moment and they have failed. And because of that, they don't want other people to do that. They want to see people fail, bring them down, hate on them. During those times of, working alone and just working hard for what you want, you have to start by believing in yourself. I'm going to share with y'all a short story about how believing in myself and how some words of wisdom helped me out. So, a couple of years ago, I was a freshman in high school, and my parents really wanted me to get my permit and learn how to start driving. Both of my parents worked early shifts, and I remember that my mom had to purposely show up late to work just to make sure I got to school on time. God bless her so much because she sacrificed so much for me, and there is absolutely nothing I can do to repay her back. I'm so grateful that I can have a mom just like mine. So, after my mom told me that she wanted me to start studying for my permit, I looked up everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, I mean everywhere. I looked up everywhere to where I could study. I looked up books, I looked up exams. I even took some practice tests on YouTube just to make sure I did good on this. And I would do this for weeks. I told my dad after a couple of weeks of studying that I was ready to go take this test. My dad drove me to the DMV place. He paid the lady the amount of money that was required to take the test. I went in the test session room. I sit down. I get prepared to do this test. And guys, I kid you not. When I looked at the first question on this test, I immediately, and I'm going to say this one more time, I immediately forgot everything that I studied for. All those weeks of me looking at books, taking practice tests, all of that gone. Just like that. Everything was completely gone. It was like I was brainwashed. When I don't know the answers to a test, I have a very bad habit of procrastinating. Sometimes I'll even think about stuff that has nothing to do with the test. After procrastinating for a really long time, I I failed. I straight up failed. I remember failing so badly that the system kicked me out. That's how badly I failed. I walked out of the test section room, and my dad looks at me and he says, "Well, how did it go?" And I told him, and I said, "Dad, I forgot everything that I studied for." And he told me, "Well, that's okay. We can just come back in another week and try again. You're gonna eventually get it." And I would study again. I would look up books. I would look at the questions that I got wrong. I took the test again after the next week of me failing. Guys, I don't know how, but I somehow did worse than when I first took the test. And even though I knew the questions that I got wrong, I somehow did worse. It really discouraged me because I told my dad once again, it was like, "Dad, I somehow did worse the second time than I did the first, despite me knowing what I got wrong." My dad told me, "It's okay, just keep trying, you're going to get there." After studying and taking the tests, I failed again and again and again. It really put a toll on me. It really discouraged me. It made me feel like I couldn't do it. Like, no matter how much I studied, it just wasn't enough. So, one day after I failed the test, I went in my mom's room and I tell her, Mom, I can't do this. It's like no matter how much I study, no matter how much time I put effort into this, I still get the same results and I fail. That's when my mom looked at me and she said, Bishop, that's my real name, by the way. She said, Bishop, in order to succeed, you must fail. You can't be perfect at everything. Mistakes are proof that you are trying to learn and improve on this situation. When my mom told me that, I sat there and I was breathless. I just couldn't think of anything to say. You know how in those anime scenes when something like happens and the characters are just like, they're just, hold on, they're like this. They're like, uh, 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 that's how my mom made me react when she said that. Because it was true. In order to succeed, you must fail. Because there is no other way to learn unless you're making mistakes. So after my mom told me this, I went up to my room and I studied like this passion. Like it was like I was studying for this test. Like my life depended on it. I studied for that like there was no tomorrow. And I studied and I looked up. Man, I can't describe how much I studied for that test, but I studied for it and I was extremely prepared. The next week, when my dad once again drove me up to the DMV place, I sat down and I take the test. I got some of the answers right and I got some of the answers wrong. But I was on the final question. This was for everything, by the way, because if I got this wrong, this meant that I would have to come back and do this all over again. My dad would have to pay the lady the amount of money. I would have to go back and rethink about what I got wrong. This was the last question that meant everything. I was shaking. Like I was shaking so badly, dude. And after a long time of thinking about the question, I submitted the question on the test. When I looked, because I closed my eyes as soon as it happened because I was so scared. When I looked at the test, it said, Congratulations, you have successfully passed your permit test. I was filled with a sigh of relief. I was so happy. I wanted to scream out in happiness of joy, but I couldn't do that. And I went out there and I told my dad, I said, Dad, I passed it. I did it. I did it. And he looked at me and I said, I knew you could do it. You just had to believe in yourself. Those words have never left me to this day. Even after years, it still has not left me. You did it. You believed in yourself. And that's what we wanted. And I told my mom that I passed it, and she gave me the biggest smile I have ever seen my mom make. And that filled me with joy. The moral of this story is don't give up. No matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it can be, never give up. You have to start by believing in yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching and just hearing out another one of my stories. I really like talking about stuff like this because it's really deep and it really makes you think on stuff a lot more differently. I can't thank y'all more than enough. I love you all so much. Thank you guys for watching once again. Be safe. Don't think like the stupid. Wash your hands, brush your teeth, and more importantly, may God bless you all. Remember, before you click off this video, always believe in yourself. All right. Love y'all. Take care.